All right, guess who's back? It's my man Israel Troop. Let's get this thing cracking. All right. Welcome in. We are live here on the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Man, oh man, it's great to be back. I know it's been kind of sporadic. We've had a new baby on the way. Israel had a brief run as Bobby Cox of middle school baseball. But all of that is coming to an end. We've got a really big announcement coming up just for right now. Israel, I'm not even going to try to introduce that. This is my man, Israel Troop. I'm going to let you tell the world what's happening, just in case they don't follow you. If they follow you at TroopStar28, they already know. But if they don't, they should follow you. But go ahead and tell them.
Well, as of about an hour ago, I was introduced as the new offensive coordinator at Thomasville High School in Thomasville, Georgia. If you're familiar with Georgia football, you know exactly where that school is and who came from that school. Our awesome offensive coordinator, Mike Bobo, is an alum and a graduate from Thomasville High School. And his dad, George Bobo, was a phenomenal coach at the school as well. So a lot of deep roots down in the Rose City, and I'm so excited to be there.
Hell yeah, Israel, man. Proud of you. That's awesome, dude. So what led to this decision? Like, what was your thought process on that? Like, what were you thinking?
It was really hard working with Jason Strickland, who's my head coach at Ware County. He's an awesome coach. So this is not anything to where you're leaving because you're not happy. It's just another step in the direction of becoming a head coach. He's always been in my corner. He's been a great reference for me, a great teacher for me as well. Along with the coaching staff, because we have a very veteran coaching staff at Ware County. So this was just the right move for me and my family to get to, that pinnacle of being a head coach and taking over my own program. So going from one historic program to another, is really, really huge for me, and another stepping stone in the right direction.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, you can't get much more storied than Thomasville. And even if you went across town, which I think this is a bad word when I say this, but Thomas County Central is even in that same boat as well. So I don't think going to Thomasville, you could have gone wrong with either one of those, man. But like beyond the obvious reasons, and some of the, with high school coaches, I don't think people realize how much the day-to-day job kind of plays into it. What are you teaching over there at Thomasville?
Right now, I'll finish up the year in SPED, which I'm in now at Ware County, which is great. Our special ed program and our department at Ware County does a phenomenal job with us, especially with us being coaches, the few of us that are actually in SPED. So I'll finish out the year in SPED at Thomasville, and then going into next year, I'll be in the weight room and PE. I think I may have one credit recovery class as well. So the day job is actually, the most appealing job. The most appealing part of actually going there. Not that I don't love SPED or anything, but as a coach, you kind of want to be able to have your hands on your kids, be able to meet and things like that. So being out of the classroom, as far as being in that teacher role, was really, really important to me, especially stepping into this offensive coordinator role, to where now I'm the sole play caller instead of being like in a co-offensive coordinator role.
Yeah, that's huge as well. But I mean, let's be honest about the day job thing. Like the mountains of paperwork you deal with in SPED, I think it drives off a lot of great teachers. I mean, honestly, and it burns out a lot of great teachers as well. So like, you just did you just feel exhausted when you? Because I've been in SPED too, so I'm kind of in your boat. I kind of felt exhausted by the time I got to practice, and it just wasn't the move for me. I had to jump into CTE.
Sometimes, it does get like that, especially when you got, a couple of meetings back to back. But like I said, our department does a great job of scheduling those for us. And they kind of handle everything behind the scenes to where all we have to really do is the paperwork and actually go to the meeting. I can't tell you enough how appreciative I am of our sped department and the things that they do, especially during football season and the 2022 season when we won state at Ware County. I mean, they did a phenomenal job. They would do meetings for us just because of the stress of, having practice and things like that, preparing for the state championship. So, we use Go IEP, which is everything's pretty much done on the computer. So it takes out the paperwork. But the actual doing, the actual IEP, we kind of have to take care of. But, now I don't have to worry about that. I got 4 left, before I leave. I start officially in Thomasville on the 11th. So I got 4 left, and then, I'll officially be done. All paperwork be turned in, and I'll be free to go.
What classification are you guys in over there?
Ware's in 5A, which they went down with, which they're going down to 4A this year. Georgia's actually going back down to 6 classifications. So we're in 1A at Thomasville, but we're in Division 2. So there's 2 divisions in 1A. So we're in with the Worth County, Bryan counties, Fitzgerald, who won state a couple years ago, and those at Swainsboro, who actually played for it this past year. So we got a tough road ahead of us still. So don't let the A fool you. There's some hard-nosed ball down here in South Georgia as well.
Well, I mean, it's just everywhere. Just the state of Georgia, just in general, from 6A all the way down to 1A is ridiculous. But
and if
cool,
put it in retrospect for you, Roquan Smith came from Macon County, which is a 1A school. So that's the caliber of kids that we're dealing with, in case you was wondering.
I think he had an okay career, right? I think he was.
I think he was solid. He's kind of playing now. He's taking over that Ray Lewis type role of being that leader on that side of the ball. So I think he's doing all right to come from a quote unquote school.
Yeah, small school. Yeah, just couldn't pan out. Mecole, Mecole's from Stevens County. They're 1A. Elberton.
Yep.
He was.
They're 1A or 2A now, with the new classifications, but it's quote unquote small schools, man, just out here producing people.
Hey, that's how it is in the state of Georgia. Middle Tennessee is starting to become that way. I don't know about the entire state of Tennessee, but it's starting to become this way in Middle Tennessee. But anyway, well, dude, I'm super excited for you. This is going to be a fun opportunity. Follow the journey of Israel Troop, and behind the scenes, I won't get into it, but I'll just say that you needed this badly.
Yeah, if you've been following, you got to know the journey that led into this. But I want to give a shout out to our head coach and the administration over at Thomasville. They actually held this job for me for a very, very long time during the head coaching process that I went through. So shout out to those guys for being loyal to me. And now, everything's kind of come full circle now, I would say, without, getting all emotional and sob story type deal. So I'm excited about it, man. I met with the kids, about a week ago, and, I'm just ready to get started.
Yeah. I'm pumped for you, man. And this will be fully your offense once again. So looking forward to that, and anything I can do to help, just let me know. Anyway. Absolutely. Let's get into some Georgia stuff, man. Speaking of new coaches, Bryan McClendon, you weren't here when you were probably doing your baseball thing when I talked about this. So I went briefly through it because I wanted to save a lot of this for when you were here. But I just just had to get it out there, like get a little bit of a take on it. But like Bryan McClendon goes to the NFL now. Since then, Dell McGee has taken the head coaching job at Georgia State. I was about to say Southern. Georgia State. Him and Buster Faulkner were the lead candidates there. And Dell McGee has ended up as the head coach at Georgia State. That left 2 vacancies on the table for Georgia. Hired him with Josh Crawford, plucking him from Georgia Tech to coach the running backs, and James Coley making a return trip to Athens to coach the wide receivers and to lock down South Florida. So on all four of those things, right? I think it's great that Coach McClendon, that BMAC is headed to the NFL. Everything you need in the NFL, it's a step in the right direction, more structured schedule, all that good stuff. Dell McGee's finally getting his program to take over. And then we welcome two really good stud recruiters in to replace those guys. What are your thoughts, man? Like when you heard all this, you were like, good for them. Were you kind of worried that I wasn't worried because Kirby's doing the hiring, but like, were you worried at all?
I was never worried from a simple fact that Kirby Smart's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. So he had a plan. And shout out to BMAC. This is a phenomenal opportunity. And the rigors of the NCAA schedule. A lot of guys are going to the NFL. And if you get your chance, might as well go ahead and take it. And it's a great thing, to be able to get that call and say come to the NFL. So they're getting a phenomenal coach, Coach McGee, who's waited his time. He led Georgia Southern through that little stint for a little while. So he's been waiting on his time. He's a phenomenal coach. Was a phenomenal high school coach, paid his dues. Now he gets to run his own program. So I'm very, very excited for those guys. And we just got two top-notch recruiters in Josh Crawford and Coach Coley coming back to UGA. So, UGA is not going to fall off. We just got two phenomenal coaches. So I'm excited about it. I saw a lot of people on Twitter was talking about Coach Crawford. I work with him at Colquitt and at Valdosta, and we're getting, a jam-up coach, a great people person. He's paid his dues as well. I actually talked to him yesterday. I told him welcome to the family and things like that. So we still have that connection as well. Everybody was looking for the big name, of a coach. But, when you're looking at what you lost, Coach McGee and in that room and as a recruiter, you don't fall off with Josh Crawford. So that was a big deal. And getting Coley back, is huge. We all know what kind of recruiter he is. We all know what kind of coach he is. So like I said, Kirby Smart's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
Dude, you couldn't say it better yourself, man. It's incredible how you like Josh Crawford. Like I didn't know when they hired him. I kind of did the who, and then I looked him up. I'm like, oh, makes total sense, right? Because there's some guys that that I've honestly never heard of, and that doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that these coaching trees are massive, and so like you don't know who comes from where and what the history is, but you look at it and you say, okay, I'm gonna look at his resume. Oh, well, this is a freaking home run, and so I think when you look at it that way, you have to kind of look. I think when you're looking at these hires, I think you kind of have to look at where they've been, and I think a lot of people when they react, they see the high school experience and they're like, why are we getting guys with like I guarantee you there's a segment of our fan base that saw Josh Crawford's resume and was just like, what are we doing? But then then you look at him and you're like, but like I look at it, I'm like, okay, well, he's like versatile, extremely versatile, because you go to the high school level, like that's where you teach the game, right? And you learn and you make connections with other high school coaches and all of that stuff. So you have that. You also have a level of like in high school. I don't know about, well, at Thomasville, it's probably not going to be this way, but the places I've been, like you've really kind of had to, really break it down. And well, it's he's done that. And he's been all over the place too. He's he's got a master's degree from Georgia, Valdosta State. He's graduated from Morehouse and he played there. He's been at Greater Atlanta Christian, Jefferson County, Colquitt, Lee, Valdosta. You were with him at Valdosta, right? Is that what you just said?
I was with him at Colquitt and Valdosta.
Yeah. So multiple stops. So like and then he's been at Georgia Tech, obviously. And he's he's just, his experience is just good. And you can't like high school guys hustle. I don't think people realize what we do. We hustle.
We
And
hustle, baby.
we hustle. And you have to, because like sometimes you just kind of have to just go, all right, screw it. We're going. We're going to see if this thing works. And you just, you're creative. High school coaches are creative. And
That's right.
and I think high school coaches are some of the best coaches around. Personally,
Absolutely. If
I
you
might
and
be
if
able
you
to
look
lie.
at schools on the West Coast, the Midwest, they're hiring high school coaches. You look at Arizona State. They had a couple guys from Chandler High
Mhm.
School. Texas is hiring a lot of guys out of high school. So I mean, Chad Morris, Gus Malzahn, those guys were coaching high school before they got into the college ranks as well, even after the college ranks. So I mean, if most people just look at names, they're looking at, oh, who's the hot guy, blah blah blah. But you have to look at
They,
the pedigree of
they
the
want
coach
recycled.
before. Yeah, I mean, you want this guy because he's been here, there, and everywhere. But you gotta understand the game's changing, the game's evolving. So
Mhm.
what made Alabama great? Nick Saban realized that, and he got younger guys to come in. Guys that can recruit. Guys that can relate to kids. You know what I mean? So especially in the time of NIL, you got to get a guy that can come in and relate to kids, because if they can't, they're going to be gone. So these two
Exactly.
hires are basically for one, recruiting reasons, and because they're top notch coaches. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So if you're just looking at a name of a guy, then you should probably do your homework, because we just hired two really good ones. Everybody knows who James Coley is. He's a phenomenal coach and his pedigree. And if you look at, Coach Crawford, look at where he's been. He was at West Kentucky with Coach Helton.
Yep.
So he has paid his dues, to be able to be in this opportunity, and seize the opportunity at that. So I'm really excited about it. You look at BMAC. BMAC was the running backs coach when I was there. He left and came back and receivers coach. Now you got a receiver coach going to coach running backs. It's the same exact thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Mhm.
sky's the limit for this team. I don't doubt Kirby Smart's decision at any point. And I don't know anybody who still is. Then you should probably, go sit on a bridge and, collect coins, because our coach is doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, he is. He absolutely is. And um, if you don't think if you think it's not for recruiting purposes, you're out of your mind. So again, two really, really good hires. And I honestly, on the other side of it, I honestly didn't expect McClendon to land in the NFL. I didn't know he was even looking. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be there, but I just didn't know he was kind of a candidate yet for the NFL. But like I think this is the next step up for him, um,
Absolutely.
with what Liam Cohen going there to replace Dave Canales.
Mm-hmm.
I guess those two had a good relationship. I could see BMAC rising through the NFL ranks pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Thomas Brown is also in the NFL as well. He's coaching, doing a phenomenal job. There's one more. Oh, what's his name? Nick Jones is also in the NFL right now. Played offensive
Where was
line for us. So we got a lot of Georgia guys that are actually
where
in the
was Nick
NFL
Jones
right now.
at?
He was with the Jaguars for a little bit,
Gotcha.
but I can't remember exactly where he is. I want to say Bubba Velasco's in the NFL as well, but I could be wrong there. But the coaching tree, coming out of Georgia, to the NFL has been phenomenal. A GA who was at Georgia, and he was a walk-on when I was there, is actually the head coach of the Seahawks right now. So, I mean, he was defensive coordinator for the Ravens. So, I mean, it's the pedigree of coaching that comes
Mike
out of the
Montgomery?
University of Georgia. Yes,
He was a GA?
he was a GA at Georgia. Absolutely.
Wow, I just learned something new. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And here's another one for you. My head coach at Thomasville is Jonathan DeLay, who was Coach Fab's GA at Georgia.
I did know that.
Aha. So
I did know
it
that.
all comes full circle, man. Georgia's
Yeah.
taking over, as anybody's wondering.
Jeez Louise. Okay. Yeah, there you go. That just blew my mind. Okay. I love it. So yeah, it's great, man. Like seeing these guys get their due, like Dell McGee finally. I remember for years and years and years, Dell McGee just crushing. That's my
Mhm.
verb. That's my verb of the night. If you haven't figured it out, but he was killing it at Carver. I remember him just being there for a really long time and just absolutely annihilating. So happy for them. So the coaching carousel. It just seems like you lose one, you get another really good one, and people really. Mike says it best in the chat here. Trust in Kirby, and actually Aloha from Pearl Harbor. And Mike's asking, did you guys play in the Sugar Bowl versus Hawaii? I was working as a recruiting assistant during that year.
Yeah, and I was a freshman that year.
So no, I didn't play in it, but I was a part of the staff. I got actually a Sugar Bowl watch, which you can see right there behind me, and a nice little piece of luggage with my initials on it. You know, like the rolling garment bag where you like zip it up and open it up. I got one of those. It's great. So yeah,
those were the days, man. That was a good time.
Good bowl gift there. So, and I was actually front row. I was in the end zone front row where Marcus Howard just killed Colt Brennan.
Yeah.
Colt Brennan wasn't looking, and all of a sudden, boom, he's got a chin full of Marcus Howard's helmet.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome. So got a game ball, need to get the boys to sign. Well, if the boys are out there in Hawaii, we can come sign it. If you'll put us up, Mike, we'll gladly come. We'll gladly take our show on the road. So
absolutely.
Well, if you want to be like Mike, A, drink Gatorade now, and B, hop in the chat. Yeah, R.I.P. Colt, man. His death was not good. It was tragic, but I remember that game though. That game was just Hawaii fans, dude. They were awesome.
Like I know you probably.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know if you experienced that much being a player, but like they are awesome.
They did a good job. You know, it was one of those deals to where, all right, we were kind of butthurt, that we didn't make it to the national championship game that year, but somebody was going to have to pay, and Hawaii just happened to be on the schedule after that. So it was a great boat trip for us, great win. We wore the black jerseys, and we had a great time on that trip. From seeing New Orleans and things like that, the history of New Orleans, and coming out of that thing with a victory. It was certainly a sight to see.
Did you get some beignets from Cafe Du Monde?
I don't remember a lot during that time. It was fun.
I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why you don't remember a lot. I remember coming to at Harris Casino, and I had like $400 in chips at a blackjack table.
There it is. You're winning. You are winning, brother.
I blacked out and won $400 in blackjack. It was phenomenal. Most successful trip I've ever had. So, but yeah. So you hear about this new tight end? Have you got a chance to look at it?
Benjamin I haven't had a chance to look at him yet. I've heard a lot about him. We were pretty much tight end U, RBU. We're about to be receiver U here real soon. We're already QB U2 as well. Mm-hmm. So we're U everywhere. At the University of Georgia. So if there's anybody that's what we're doing, you should really just look at the pedigree of things that we're doing. In all honesty, if there's any questions or concerns, you should probably go watch a practice and see the intensity that Coach Smart and that coaching staff, goes through with those guys. So especially with the schedule that we have this year, it is wide open. Those guys are excited. I think this year is more so unfinished business. This year, and I think they're amped and ready to go.
No, totally, and I feel like they're amped every single year. But what is it about getting tight ends from the Bay Area that just?
It's called recruiting. We have one of the best tight end coaches in the nation.
Oh, Todd Hartley, yeah.
Who was also a GA at Georgia when I was there.
Yeah, so I did know that too. He was a student assistant for Dave Johnson when I was there, and then he went away for a minute and came back. I think he went away for a year to West Virginia, then came back as like a GA and then like a student assistant, and then was like as a GA. Like he stretched it out. Like he came back in 07 and then left in 09 to go back to Marshall as a full-time coach. So he's had quite the journey, man.
Paid his dues, and you see it with the guys that he's put in the NFL as well. Going to have a first rounder this year. So I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding. And I mean, if you're a tight end, who wouldn't want to come to Georgia to play? One, we use them, and two, we throw to them, and three, they get drafted. So I mean, what's not to love?
Benjamin Yurosek was like, "Yeah, sign me up. Yep, I'm there. I know y'all use a lot of 12 personnel. I'm there. Let's go. But no, watching him play, man, he, the style of play, and I'm not going to dare say he's Brock Bowers because you can't say that about anybody. But he's very much like Brock Bowers in the way that he plays. He's very smooth, really good route runner, physical, has that extra gear. I don't think he's quite as good with the ball in the air as Brock Bowers was, because Brock Bowers won jump balls like he was Randy Moss. Like he could, like Brock Bowers could contort his body and just like you see him go up and like it looks like, hold on, what I'm trying to think. He looks like a human Rubik's cube, like where one side goes this way and the other side goes that way, and like his arm goes that way. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that comparison is, but like all of a sudden, like his body goes in 4 different directions.
And great body control, in case anybody's wondering what Corey's getting to. Awesome.
Simply put. And then he comes down with the ball, and you're like, how the hell do you do that? I got injured watching. There was one play in particular. He went up, and I was like, okay, all right, I think I just like pulled something watching him make that catch.
Yeah, man, you go back to the play against Ohio State when he stretches out for the first down. I mean, for him to be able to float in the air the way he did to get that first down, which we needed to keep the drive going, I mean, you can't teach that. You know what I mean? And to add this kid in with Lucky and Dell, I mean, we're gonna be hell on wheels at the tight end position.
Dude, it's gonna be
rah-rah. Yeah. All those guys in that receiver room, and we figure out who's RB1 coming out of spring and going into spring and things like that. So I mean, we're going to be good for a real long time.
It's going to be RB1. Is this the most loaded this offensive side of the ball has been in quite some time?
I think as a whole, we got a guy that could take top off. That's toting the rock, which we needed. I think if Milton had been healthy throughout his career, I think he would have been that guy. Then you add in Dejan with him as well, kind of that bruiser, that small guy that can get in and get you a bunch of yards. I think that this is the most complete group, as long as the offensive line continues to gel, that we've had, I think, since Kirby's been there. I feel like put it like this, we have more explosive players as a whole that we've had since Kirby's been there.
Yeah, I mean, you get some guys. You get your new Ladd McConkey and Humphreys. You get Colby White from Miami. He's kind of your explosive guy. Ra Thomas, when the light bulb finally fully comes on for him, he's going to be that A.D. Mitchell X receiver type. Then you have Ra. You have Ra. Then you have Dominic Lovett, who's he can do it all from the slot position. I mean, he's just ridiculous. He can run jets. He can run. He's really good at screens. He can take the lid off. He can take a crossing route, the distance. I mean, he's just somebody that you just got to account for everywhere.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I cannot wait to, one, kind of see how spring goes, and then two, leading up to that first game. Because we're going to be scary. Everybody stays healthy, because that's always the thing. You got to stay healthy during this run. It's going to be a beautiful thing to see. It really is. Our defense is going to be great still. Adding a phenomenal coach that we just got from Alabama. if you in the grand scheme of it all, like I said earlier, Kirby Smart's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. There's a reason why these people are here. You got not only do you get phenomenal coaches, you get phenomenal recruiters, phenomenal men, to help develop these young men, and you just keep the train rolling. You never have to rebuild. You always just reload, and I think that's the standard now at UGA. I think our players understand that.
Oh yeah, and Vegas has set the over under at -10.5 for win totals in 2024. And they set it at 10.5, A, to entice you to bet on it, first of all. But B, there's 3 games on the schedule that you can say, they're up in the air. Okay. Ole Miss, probably going to win the award for most improved in the SEC. Texas and at Alabama, which becomes way less scary without Nick Saban. But those are the 3 games that I think give Vegas pause in setting the line at 11.5 versus 10.5. So I think Georgia's going to take all 3 of those. And worst case scenario, slip up at Texas. It would be I still take the over because I'm still smashing the over because of that. I think they crush Alabama. I think they end up overwhelming Ole Miss. It'll be close for a little while, and then they'll just end up overwhelming them like they did this past season. And then at Texas can get a little tricky because that's a tough place to play regardless. And it's early.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on with that. And shout out to Joe Cox. He was the tight ends coach at Ole Miss. He was also a Georgia alum as well.
Yep. He was in the running for the wide receiver spot.
Yep, I think those games are pretty much spot on. In our schedule, it ain't for the weak. SEC is the best conference in America. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. Once September hits, man.
Oh, dude, I'm jazzed up. And getting things started right away with Clemson in the Chick-fil-A kickoff. That's not an easy game either. I don't think it's as difficult of a game as it was, say, 2 years ago. But that's never an easy game. But if you want to play top-notch football, come to the SEC. And I love the new format. Like the 12-team format's going to be great. You have 5 auto bids and 7 at-larges. Which it's basically just going to be the SEC Invitational, but you get you love that, right? You get a single table also with the SEC. So like the play-in for the automatic bid is going to be, it's going to be from legitimately the top 2 in the SEC and not the top in the East and top in the West, where sometimes the 2 best teams are in the West, or some years the 2 best teams are in the East, or finally the 2 best teams in the conference are going to play each other for the SEC championship. I love that too.
I love it.
I'm a big fan. So, but yeah, dude, you're telling me, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what this defense, kind of with some of the changes that took place with, with some shifting around with Will Muschamp taking a step back as an analyst, preferably to go see his son, to be able to see his son at Vanderbilt, Whit Muschamp, who went to a boarding school in Chattanooga for his high school, Baylor, the Baylor school. They're in Chattanooga. He was state runner-up, I think, because Macaulay won. So the state championship in Tennessee in Division II ended up being the 2 Chattanooga boarding schools playing each other in Chattanooga. So that was a lot of fun. They were legitimately, they were legitimately the 2 best teams.
You don't skip a beat with Coach Robinson coming in. He's going to handle the back end. So it's all right. Who wants to play? You know what I mean? It's like you have so much excitement and waiting for it to unfold that you just can't wait for it all to happen. Now that the staff is complete, heading into spring. We really get to see kind of how those guys gel, how the players connect with the new guys, and how recruits connect with the new guys as well. So, I mean, Georgia's not going to skip a beat, and we're going to keep the train rolling. We got some unfinished business.
Very much
from
so.
last year.
Yeah, gotta have the broken three-peat. the Georgia the Georgia hat trick, where you skip a year but you still get 3. So
Right.
we're gonna do it Patriot style, actually. Now that I think about it, 3 out of 4. So
that's right.
So I'm gonna do it. Only gonna do it. But we got to get through this gauntlet. So yeah, smash the over on that, because I think this is a very hungry, extremely talented Georgia team that I just don't. I think if they get past Texas, they're just going to roll the rest of the season. It's going to be ugly, I think.
So too.
If they struggle with Texas, I still think they're going to win out. There might be a couple struggle games in there, but for the most part, I think they win 11 or 12 games.
I think so.
Yeah. So, all right, let's switch sports. Been watching baseball a little bit?
Ooh, I've been watching them boys hit that little round ball, and it is a beautiful thing to see. If anybody knows me, my first love is baseball. Okay, so to finally see, us put it together offensively, because defense and pitch has always kind of been there, but then we get a couple of injuries and our offense just kind of lackluster for a while. But watching these guys hit this baseball is a beautiful thing to watch. The runs that we've been putting up, the cohesiveness that this team is playing with right now is absolutely beautiful. I'm excited to see us get into not region play, but conference play.
Yeah.
Just to see, us, the competition step up. Just kind of see, where we fare. But right now, if we keep rolling the way that we're doing, I mean, it's going to be, we're going to be in Omaha real soon, if not this year.
Omaha. Yeah. I mean, they set a record for most homers in a game against Georgia State. They run ruled Northern Kentucky. Presbyterian last night, they won that game. It was a little tight, but sometimes baseball just is that way.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really like about this team, what really stands out to this team, is the approach. Obviously the approach with the pitching staff. Just finding command and Wes Johnson trusting his guys and knowing, just getting them through their outings effectively,
right,
where he manages the emotions, manages the pitch counts, and he's able to keep their pitch counts relatively low, and he's able to help them find command on all their pitches. So that's been, like, I expected that because he's a pitching guy. But what I don't want to say surprises me, but what I really enjoy as an aspect that I didn't think would happen as quickly as it has is the discipline at the plate approach. I think these guys,
yes.
I think the plate approach has been really good, and it's been really good twofold because, like, they have the discipline enough to take their at bats into deep counts and sit on their pitch and drive the baseball. But also on the flip side of that, recognizing when it's time to strike when the iron's hot, you have a pitcher that's leaving the ball up. Like, if the pitcher's leaving the ball up, he's probably more than likely first pitch. If first pitch is a strike, it's probably going to be up in the zone, and it's probably going to be something you can hit a long way or hit really hard. And they've been doing a good job of that too.
Absolutely. Just seeing these guys, like I said, one thing that bothered me last year, like I said, I'm a baseball guy, is our approach. You know what I mean? So,
we talked about that.
What is your approach? Well, what's your plan when you get into that, when you come up to bat? Our runners in scoring position. Do we need to move runners? Can we hit for power? Do we need to hit to get on base? Those things that should go through your mind when you're playing baseball. So, just watching, our guys have a plan when they get to the plate right now. Like you said earlier, pitcher leaves one up in the zone. I mean, we're crushing it right now. We're swinging that first pitch fastballs and things like that. We're being aggressive, and I love it. You know what I mean? And we're hitting for power. We're hitting for average. We're moving runners. You don't just score 15 runs in a game, just from home runs and things like that. We're doing the little things right at the plate offensively to help our pitchers out. If a pitcher knows that, hey, at any point, we can score 2-3 runs in an inning, that makes his confidence go way up. That makes him throw a lot of strikes, and and he believes in the defense after that. He doesn't have to press. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, that goes to the mental psyche of the pitcher. And I think Coach Johnson coming in, I think that's his mindset. How can we help he's a pitcher. You know what I mean? He's been a pitching coach, so he understands the mental psyche of a pitcher. How can we help this guy while he's up there on the mound? How do you help him? You get the ball. You score runs. You put stress on the other team to where you don't play into what they want you to do. And I think he's done a great job of bringing his philosophy and that mindset in to be aggressive, to attack. And and we're reaping the benefits right now. I mean, they're 8-0 right now, which is, I think I saw a statistic today that it's the best start, for a UGA coach in the history of UGA baseball. So he's obviously, done a phenomenal job. And like I said, I can't wait, till we get into conference play so we can really see how good this team can be. Because I think this team is going to be really, really scary, especially down the stretch.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be insane. So I'm excited for it. But what you said about like the mentality of like the pitcher can relax and they know that all I got to do is just throw strikes, let my defense go to work, and I know my offense is going to hit. That can reign true even, and correct me if I'm wrong here, obviously, but I think as a pitcher that can also reign true. Like if your offense is struggling a little bit, I think that with these performances, I think these pitchers can also go out there and say, okay, I trust that they're going to turn it around. All I got to do is continue to do what I've always done. And they never get the feeling of I have to bail out our offense because they're in a massive slump. And that's when you get pitchers that are overthrowing, they get super tight and they either walk a whole bunch of people or they leave a bunch of pitches up in the zone that just get absolutely crushed. But I think the mindset of the pitchers trusting the hitters and the hitters trusting the pitchers, like the hitters go up to the plate, relax because they're like, all right, my guy's going to go out there and start dealing. So I could just relax, sit on my pitch and be patient here. And we can be patient. Like even if we go cold the first 3 innings, there's no panic whatsoever.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. There's no panic. And I think the biggest thing that Coach Johnson has brought into this program is trust. And you can see it. You can see the camaraderie within the team, with him, within that coaching staff. And you can see a big difference in this baseball team right now. And I mean, like I said, I mean, they're 8-0 right now. I mean, they're absolutely crushing the competition right now. And I mean, they've had some tight games, but you can see there's no panic. You know what I mean? Those guys are going up there dealing. And eventually, like you said, the offense is actually picking up as well. So, I mean, I love it. It's the first time in a long time where we can sit here and look at our baseball team and say, these guys are doing, what we thought that UGA baseball can do. The recruiting aspect of it, outside the draft, it has been phenomenal as well. There's a kid coming out of Kell. He played quarterback for him as well, who we got, who's signing with us. And the kid, I mean, he played for the USA team, national team, and the kid can actually ball. You know what I'm saying? And barring anything happens in the draft, I mean, he's coming to UGA. So that adds another aspect to our team. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the biggest thing that Coach Johnson brought in is trust. And I think that's been lacking. Everybody trusts each other. You can see it. I mean, they love it. They're loving on each other. There's excitement for one another. It looks like a total different program right now. And I think having new blood in, I love Coach Strickland to death. I think he did the best that he could with what he had at that particular time. But at the same time, bringing new blood and a new philosophy in has done wonders for this baseball team. And shout out to our AD and Josh Brooks for making this thing happen.
Yeah, I mean, recognizing that a change needs to happen is the first step to making significant improvements. And so you get that, you get the new facilities that are greenlit, that are absolutely phenomenal. And it's just all coming full circle. So let me ask you this, though, with baseball, with the emergence of NIL, and I think NIL the two sports that's going to really help boost the most, and I wish baseball made more money than it does, but I think NIL is going to help baseball and obviously, football. But I think outside of that, I think it's going to help baseball the most because like you have these guys that are deciding between MLB draft and college. And unless you're a surefire first rounder that's going to be in the majors within a year, you're seeing a lot of these guys. It happened at Vanderbilt. You had a couple guys get drafted that normally before pre NIL would have gone to MLB, and they were like, I think one of them was, I don't think he ever entered the draft, but he was set to be the pitcher, Ethan McElvain. He was set to be a first rounder, and he decided to stick with it and go to college. But I think a lot of that has to do with NIL and the opportunity to make money is going to keep a larger portion of these kids coming to college versus jumping straight to the pros in baseball.
Absolutely. With the emergence of travel ball now, and how profile high school baseball is now as well, especially, just down here in South Georgia. I mean, our baseball programs are doing really well just because the guys are playing a lot more. So they're getting eyes on them and things like that. So the NIL is definitely helping baseball. Because you got to think, you're about to throw a couple $1,000s, at a kid, if he goes to the draft. Well, we're going to throw a couple $1,000s at you too, just to come to college. It's the same deal. You know what I mean? So as long as they can manage it, and make sure everything, is on the up and up, it's definitely going to help baseball. Because I mean, baseball is a $1 billion industry. Whether it's the majors or even Pee Wee League. My little boy's playing T-ball right now. So one of those deals to where you just got to make sure that got to keep everybody happy. Number one, but also keep the main thing, and understand that at the end of the day, just for Georgia in general, you're playing for the Bulldogs, you're playing for that logo on your chest, not the name on the back. So I think they figured it out. You know what I mean? So if we can keep, if kids getting drafted, if we can keep them in college, that's good. But you also aren't going to crush a kid's dream if he, gets drafted as well.
No. I mean, you're going to.
That's the route he wants to go. That's the route to go. But you always got to have a backup plan. And I'm telling you, and mark my words, these programs, like let's take Georgia State, Georgia College, things like that. They also have a lot of really good baseball players, that are looking to transfer as well. So you tap into those smaller programs to get those best players. That also makes your team that much better. And you also keep those kids in Georgia. Georgia has one of the best pipelines for baseball in the nation.
And the Dogs have gotten some transfer portal guys too.
Absolutely. So you can keep these kids in Georgia, perfect games and things like that. Georgia's going to be really, really good for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And, with the transfer portal, you have a kid that plays a year at Georgia College and then hits the portal or plays like 2 years at like Valdosta State and says, okay, I'm potentially good enough to be drafted. I need to hit the portal, go to a big program, see if I can get picked up and see if I can get some major league guys on. But also like on the token of like the high school kids coming out and with the NIL, like the equalizer now is paying these kids. Like the kid can make the same amount playing at Georgia, which is a first class. You're flying first class. You have first class facilities, or you could ride some stinky bus playing in Class A ball for the Toledo Mud Hens, and just be grinding away in the minors for potentially your entire adult.
And you're working toward a degree. You're getting paid and you're working toward a degree, which is also going to continue to help you get paid. So, I mean, baseball's figured it out, and I'm so excited, for this baseball team. I'm looking forward for them doing really, really big things. The days of getting bounced out the first day at the SC Championship series I think are over.
They appear to be.
I think we're going to compete, against these top-notch programs. And it may take a year, but right now they're starting off on the right foot, the right way. I think Coach Johnson was the guy to come in and turn this thing around.
Our first big test is tomorrow night against Michigan State. And then the series with Georgia Tech this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's the Georgia Tech, play one game in Atlanta, play the next game in Athens, and play the Sunday game at Coolray Field. I almost said a rubber match, but we're going to sweep the series. So, and we open up March 15th with Kentucky. That's our first conference series in Lexington, which has been a tough place for us to play. But you have Kentucky. It's a good baseball conference. You have a weekend series at Kentucky, then you come back with a midweek game against Wofford, and then you're home against Alabama, and then we'll know by the time we finish our series with Tennessee. We'll know by the end of March just how legit this team is, because you get by the end of March, you're gonna have games against Michigan State, series against Georgia Tech, a series against Iowa, a single game against Iowa, a series against Kentucky, a series with Bama, and a series with Tennessee. If you don't have any answers by then, well,
something's wrong.
Something's wrong. And you're going to know either, hey, we're legit, or maybe we just got off to a hot start and we just kind of ran out of gas, or like you're going to know. And then Missouri, you get Mississippi State, Missouri, which is a little bit of a reprieve. And you have some midweek games against Kennesaw State's pretty good. They knocked out. Did you see what they did to Clemson?
No, I didn't.
They beat Clemson 18-1 last week.
Ooh.
Clemson was at the time was the number 10 in the country.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. So yeah, that's I'm excited about this season. I think there's a lot of good things on the horizon. What are your thoughts on basketball? I know it's not really in the docket, but we have a little bit of time. Like, to me, basketball, I think they hit a little bit of a rough patch. But but with basketball, like versus last year, the record is not much different from last year. But I think you can see versus last year that, like, hey, we have an actual plan. We have an actual low post presence. I just think this team runs out of gas sometimes and just is very streaky and goes cold. And that's what you get with a heavy portal team.
I think we're just running out of steam. I think they're playing hard. I mean, they're playing physical. I mean, you can definitely tell it's a different basketball team. And like I said, and we've talked about this, a lot till we're blue in the face, but it's going to take a minute to actually get that program back to what, we expect it to be. You know what I mean? So I think they just keep grinding, and you're going to have another recruiting year coming up here soon. Add a couple pieces here and there that you may need. But I think coach is doing a great job.
Yeah, Mike White is the right guy. He's absolutely the right guy.
People want results right now. We live in a right now world, but it takes time. You got to look at where we were, to where we are right now. The wins and losses may not dictate that, but if you just look at the product that's out there on the court right now, they're going to learn how to finish. They're going to learn how to dominate. But that stuff like that takes time, especially when it hasn't been there for a very, very long time. So Mike White has done a phenomenal job. I think that staff has done a good job. And I think, this year's not a wash. We can still finish strong, but I think going into next year, reevaluate, kind of see where you are. And then you start to see the fruits of your labor after that. But you understand where we were, man. We were down in the dumps for a while.
It was pitiful. It was downright pitiful, like embarrassingly.
Everybody this is the one time I'll say, hey, let's be patient. We got a great coaching staff. I think, like I say, our AD and Josh Brooks and that whole staff has done a really good job of hiring coaches. So everybody just calm down. We're going to be fine. And if you just don't look at the score. I mean, obviously the score is most important, but just look at the product that's on the field. And you can definitely tell the difference in that basketball team.
Yeah, and the arena is starting to get some juice back. Stegman Coliseum starting to get some juice back a little bit, where it was severely lacking. The team plays hard.
People outside waiting in line. It's cold.
Yeah, and that's huge. Like I haven't seen people waiting for tickets since my freshman year when we would have been a tournament team, a legitimate tournament team, had Jim Herrick not cheated.
Yep, and I've never seen it. So It's good to see now. When we play Kentucky, people are outside waiting to get in. You know what I mean?
And
So the excitement's there, and it's going to happen. So everybody just relax for just a second.
Yeah,
let Coach do his thing. We're going to be fine.
There's excitement. There's now a little bit of an atmosphere, and I've always said Georgia has a unique atmosphere. They need to play to that. They need to recruit to that, and eventually they will. And some of these portal guys are going to make that happen. And now you got to get some high school guys and some continuity guys that comes in to kind of bolster that, because I think you still have a sense of like there's still some like miscommunication there, which is not really anybody's fault, I don't think, but that's just one of the pitfalls of having a lot of portal guys. And when you have a lot of portal guys, that it just happens. So there's nothing to be overly worried about, but it is something that if you're trying to win now, obviously it's it's a little bit of a damper. But I think Georgia's just trying to build at this point, and I think that's the goal. The goal is to get as far as you can in the SEC tournament, hope for an NIT bid, and be happy with that. And then next year, like I think realistically, every 5 years you should be in the tournament two or three out of those years, 2 or 3 times.
Absolutely. You got to think the 2 sports that were in the rebuild of any sport on UGA's campus was men's basketball and baseball.
Mm-hmm. And I think for baseball, hosting a regional, I think is the first step to know. For basketball, NIT bid, we'll know that if we get any sort of postseason bid, that's a massive, massive win for the program. So
for sure,
I'm excited. But anyway, well, we're gonna take this one down the road here. The combine is going on. We'll talk a little bit about that when that wraps up more, and just kind of react. The combine is what it is. It's just mostly people just watch it for the interviews now at this point. But is Justin Fields going to be a Falcon?
I don't know, man. I think Coach is pretty much keeping it on the wraps right now. I heard an interview with him today. I think it'd be great. I think it's time to tap into the Georgia schools. If I'm the Falcons, we're letting too many Georgia people get out of the state of Georgia.
Not a good idea, because I hear they're pretty good at football.
They're pretty good. So if we can do that, and I'm not a Falcons fan by any means,
should be.
But I do that stadium is phenomenal, and who wouldn't want to play in there? I mean, I drove by it a couple months ago, and I was like, oh my God, it's my first time seeing it in person. And I was like, oh my God, who would not want to play in this thing? You know what I mean? So I think the Falcons got a good coach. I think they got a good staff coming in, and I think they just got to put it all together, man. That's it. Just let the coaches coach, and it'll all work itself out.
Yeah, we got a good one in Raheem Morris. You're about the
state of Georgia right now with Raheem Morris, with Kirby Smart, that school across the way over there at Georgia Tech, Dell, McGee at Georgia State. Kennesaw is doing a phenomenal job right now. It's Georgia right now is balling. So.
West Georgia is balling a little bit. Valdosta State is a legendary school.
It's always balling. So the state of Georgia, as far as football, at the collegiate level and at the pro level right now, is going to be something to see.
Baseball,
especially
take off too, because unfortunately Georgia dismantled Georgia State, but Georgia State's actually pretty good at baseball.
They are,
and Georgia Tech is pretty good this year at baseball. Kennesaw just annihilated Clemson, which I don't think it was a fluke, but 18-1's not a fluke. But they just annihilated Clemson. They're doing pretty good. So Georgia sports is starting to. The Hawks need to jump on board. The Atlanta Hawks need to jump on board. The Braves, if they could just find their bats in the postseason, they'll win another World Series, because they've got one of the best coaching staff or pitching staffs in the majors, and they got Ronald Acuna, who is a cheat code. So I say that to say the invitation to jump on the Braves, to jump into Braves country is open. Wow. Israel.
Wow.
It's open, wide open. Because come on in.
One day, maybe one day.
That one day is today.
I still got to go to a Braves game. I've never been.
You need to go to a Braves game. You'll get hooked. Ronald Acuna is so much fun to watch. The Yankees, it's stale. The Yankees are stale, except for Aaron Judge. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that.
My pro teams right now have been stale for a while, so I gotta figure something out here soon.
Derrick Henry too. I don't know if you want that, but
don't be telling all our secrets, man. Don't be telling all our secrets.
You want that, but yeah, you're about to get Derrick Henry probably. Either that or don't let him go to Jim Harbaugh, because then they might actually win.
Mm-hmm.
You know he's going to draft Blake Corum though.
Oh, yeah,
it's going to happen.
It's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
So your Cowboys are going to get Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler. Ooh.
We'll see. It's still up in the air. We'll see.
Yeah. Y'all are going to tag Pollard. Is that what's happening?
It's Jimmy. It's Jerry's world. We're just living in it.
That's true. That is very true. Hey, you have some choices down there in South Georgia. You can go Falcons. You can go Duval, or you can go Dolphins. Don't go Bucks. Nobody goes Bucks. You can even go Saints if you wanted to.
No, thank you. Been rocking with my boys since '92, man. Since '92.
Since '92.
We're gonna ride this wave, unfortunately.
Yeah, there you go. Got to. That's some loyalty right there. I like it. So anyway, well, we're gonna get out of here, man. We hope you have a great rest of your evening, which should be winding down for a lot of you, unless you're going and partying hard. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Israel, I hope you have a great rest of your time at Ware County, and make sure that you kick ass at Thomasville. I'm excited for you. But this is the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. Find us on social media at Believe in Dogs, at Troopstar28, at Coach Burton 36. Find us wherever you find your podcast and on YouTube, and make us part of your day. So we're gonna try to come at you a little bit more frequently now, and but we're gonna get out of here. This has been fun. For Israel Troop, I'm Corey Burton. This is Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. We'll see you back here next time. But until then, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.